We are counting down the 7 wealthiest black women transforming London's power map. From digital disruption and courtroom battles to billion-pound empires quietly fortified in the city's most exclusive addresses, each woman on this list reveals a different path to extraordinary fortune. Their assets are not just measured in headlines, but in property deeds, legal victories, and global influence. Who sits at the pinnacle of this tightly guarded world of wealth? Let us begin with number 7. Number 7, Patricia Bright built her fortune in London by turning digital influence into real, lasting assets. Raised on a South London council estate, she started by braiding classmates' hair for £5 each, just to afford lunch. Years later, while working as a city financial analyst, she secretly filmed YouTube videos at night, content that would soon reach millions. In the mid-2010s, her online earnings outpaced her banking salary, and she resigned to focus fully on her digital brand. But Patricia's real power move came after the cameras stopped rolling. Instead of chasing viral fame, she reinvested profits into London property, buying and renovating homes for resale. Land registry records confirm multiple profitable flips, each one compounding her net worth beyond ad revenue. She operates her own media house, earning through equity stakes in beauty lines and back-end infrastructure, not just sponsorships. Today, Patricia lives in a fully renovated London home, complete with a custom kitchen and a walk-in wardrobe that rivals a high-end boutique. Her story marks the entry point for this list, a creator who used digital leverage to secure more than visibility. She built durable ownership with a verified net worth above £5 million anchored in London's property market. This is where visibility becomes equity, and where the journey from council estate to asset ownership sets the benchmark for the fortunes that followed. Number 6. Gina Miller stands as the city disruptor, a woman whose wealth and influence are measured not just in pounds, but in legal precedents that shook the United Kingdom. Born in Guyana, Miller's early life was marked by upheaval. At just 14, she worked as a chambermaid after her family's financial support was cut off by strict currency controls. That early exposure to instability shaped her understanding of risk and resilience. Years later, she co-founded SCM Direct, a London-based investment management firm that now operates as SCM Private, overseeing hundreds of millions in client assets. Her approach to finance is grounded in transparency and directness, values she would later bring into the national spotlight. What sets Miller apart is her readiness to use the courts as a tool for public accountability and private leverage. In 2016, she launched a landmark legal challenge against the government's attempt to trigger Brexit without parliamentary approval. The case reached the Supreme Court, which ruled in her favor, forcing the government to seek formal consent from Parliament. Not content with one victory, Miller returned to the Supreme Court in 2019, this time challenging the Prime Minister's advice to the Queen to suspend Parliament, a move widely seen as a tactic to rush through Brexit legislation. Again, Miller prevailed. The unanimous judgment declared the prorogation unlawful, reaffirming the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. Both cases were funded in part by Miller herself, with legal bills reaching into the hundreds of thousands. Her net worth, estimated at around £10 million, is built on the foundations of SCM Private and solidified by her status as a legal power broker. Miller's London home, filled with modern art and shelves of legal texts, is a testament to a life spent at the intersection of finance and justice. Through her book Rise, she has chronicled the personal cost of standing up to government power, making clear that in London, the courts are as much a fortress as any bank vault. For the wealthy, Miller's story proves that in the city, legal strategy is as valuable as any financial instrument. Abudu stands as the media empress who transformed Afrocentric storytelling into a global business empire. Born in London and raised partly in Nigeria, she began her career in the corporate world, rising to a senior human resources role at ExxonMobil. In 2006, Abudu left the security of a multinational for the unpredictable world of television, determined to create content that reflected Black excellence on its own terms. Her vision materialized in 2013 with the launch of Ebony Life Television, Africa's first global Black entertainment network. Ebony Life quickly became a powerhouse, producing original series and talk shows that broke ratings records across the continent. The turning point came with The Wedding Party in 2016, a romantic comedy that shattered Nigerian box office records, pulling in over $1.1 million on its opening weekend and cementing Ebony Life as a force in international cinema. Abudu's strategy was never just about content creation. She built a library of intellectual property, then scaled it through audacious distribution deals. In 2020, Ebony Life signed a multi-title agreement with Netflix, the first of its kind for an African media company, bringing African stories to a global audience. Partnerships with Sony Pictures Television and AMC networks followed, expanding her reach into Europe and North America. Each deal layered new revenue streams, moving Abudu beyond traditional ad sales into streaming royalties and global syndication. Her ambitions now extend back to London, where Ebony Life Place is under development on Wadsworth Road, a luxury cinema, hotel, and members club designed to anchor Black creative capital in the city. Likely based in Kensington or St. John's Wood, Abudu is known for her couture style and business acumen. Through strategic intellectual property, monetization, and global partnerships, she has built a multi-million-pound fortune, redefining what it means to own and export Black culture from London to the world. Number 4, Valerie Moran stands as the fintech queen, a woman whose fortune was engineered not through inheritance or political ties, but through precision ownership and a single decisive exit. Born in Zimbabwe, Moran arrived in London in 2003, carrying the scars of her home country's economic collapse. By 2008, as global markets reeled from the financial crisis, she launched prepaid financial services from her kitchen table. The company served governments and telecoms across Europe, turning a profit in its very first year, a rarity in the volatile world of fintech startups. What distinguishes Moran is the sheer scale of her stake. While many founders dilute their ownership to chase growth, Moran retained 81.5% of PFS as it expanded. This single decision would define her future. In 2019, she sold PFS to EML Payments in a deal valued between £281 million and £350 million, instantly transforming her into one of the wealthiest women in Britain. The transaction filings at Companies House confirm the magnitude of the deal. For the first time, a Black self-made woman entered the Sunday Times Rich List Top 1,000, with a personal net worth estimated at £200 million. Moran's approach to wealth is tactical, measured, and deeply rooted in ownership. Her story is not about fleeting valuations or speculative hype, but about realized liquidity, hard cash, not paper promises. Beyond the boardroom, she channels her resources into philanthropy, funding over 200,000 school meals for children in Mali. Known for her taste in Dolce & Gabbana and Gucci, she moves through London's financial circles with quiet authority. Moran's ascent marks a shift in the landscape of Black wealth in London. Here, power is not borrowed or inherited, but built and cashed in, one high-stakes deal at a time. Number 3. Folorunso Alakija stands as the Oil Baroness, a title earned not by inheritance, but by decades of strategic maneuvering through Nigeria's oil sector and London's property market. Her journey began far from the corridors of power. Once a bank secretary, Alakija studied fashion in London and launched Supreme Stitches, a label that clothed the wives of Nigerian military generals. Those connections opened doors to the oil industry, but opportunity in Nigeria is never simple. In 1993, she secured the oil prospecting license for OML 127, a deep-water block that would later anchor the Agbami oil field, one of the richest in West Africa. When the Nigerian government moved to reclaim her stake, Alakija entered a legal fight that stretched over a decade, culminating at the Supreme Court. The court's decision preserved her family's control over the asset, transforming her from fashion entrepreneur to oil magnate. Wealth on this scale demands protection, and for Alakija, London became the ultimate safe harbor. Her holdings include 5 apartments in One Hyde Park in Knightsbridge, a building often cited as the most expensive residential address on Earth, where prices average £6,500 per square foot. Land registry records confirm these flats are owned through Isle of Man companies tied to her family's oil business, with the total investment estimated at more than £100 million. This concentration of real estate is not for display. In a city where property is as much a shield as a status symbol, Alakija's portfolio functions as a fortress insulated from the volatility of Nigerian courts and political winds. Beyond property, her presence in London is marked by a mansion in Hampstead and a reputation for opulence. Nowhere was that more visible than her son's wedding at Blenheim Palace, where she reportedly spent £5 million on a celebration featuring 1 million roses and a custom-made carpet. Yet beneath the spectacle lies a lesson in endurance. Alakija's fortune is not simply the product of luck or access, but of relentless legal defense and the foresight to anchor assets in a jurisdiction that rewards long-term stability. In the architecture of Black wealth in London, her story is a blueprint for how resource rights, legal resilience, and prime real estate can be fused into a legacy that outlasts any oil boom. Isabel Dos Santos stands as the fallen princess, a figure whose fortune once seemed untouchable but now sits at the center of an international legal storm. Born the eldest daughter of Angola's longtime president, Dos Santos reached billionaire status by her early 40s, building a sprawling portfolio with stakes in Portuguese banks, energy companies, and telecom giants. For years, she was lauded as Africa's first female billionaire, her name synonymous with opulence and influence stretching from Luanda to Lisbon and, crucially, to London. Her ascent was propelled by political connections, but the very systems that elevated her would later turn against her. In 2020, the Luanda Leaks investigation exposed a complex web of offshore deals, revealing how state contracts and loans allegedly funneled hundreds of millions into her personal empire. The fallout was immediate and global. Portuguese and Angolan authorities froze assets and launched criminal probes, but the real test came in London, a city prized for its reputation as a safe haven for the world's elite. At the heart of her London holdings sits a mansion in a private gated enclave near Kensington Palace, valued between £21 million and £25 million. Plans for an extravagant underground extension, a so-called iceberg home with a pool, spa, and walk-in safe, were put on hold as legal scrutiny mounted. In December 2023, the UK High Court issued a worldwide freezing order on up to £580 million of her assets, following a lawsuit brought by Unidal SA, an Angolan telecom company. The court found a strong initial case that Dos Santos had diverted company funds for personal gain, and the freeze was upheld on appeal the following year. Additional UK government sanctions soon followed, locking down her British assets and imposing a travel ban. For Dos Santos, London courts became a battlefield rather than a sanctuary. The same jurisdiction that had once offered discretion and legitimacy now exposed her fortune to unprecedented public scrutiny. Her net worth, which peaked above £1.5 billion, has dwindled as legal actions continue to unravel her holdings. While she continues to deny all accusations and claims political persecution from exile, her story stands as a stark reminder. In London, the law can strip away the illusion of permanence, testing the true durability of even the most carefully constructed empires. And finally, in first place, Tsitsi Masiyiwa embodies the quiet power that anchors Black wealth in London. Her story is not one of headlines or spectacle, but of infrastructure built to last. Together with her husband Strive, she spent 5 years in the 1990s locked in a legal battle against the Zimbabwean government, fighting for the right to operate a private mobile network. The courts ruled in their favor, and in 1998, Econet Wireless launched, breaking the state monopoly and opening the door to private telecoms across Africa. From those origins, the Masiyiwa family built an empire that now stretches across more than 20 countries, with their London base serving as the command center for Africa's largest fiber optic network, Liquid Intelligent Technologies. Forbes estimates the family's net worth at over £2 billion, a figure that places them among the continent's most influential business dynasties. Yet Tsitsi's presence in London is marked by discretion, not display. The family resides in a detached mansion on a private estate in Surrey, a property valued at over £2.5 million. Their assets extend far beyond British borders, including 2 adjacent penthouses at the top of the El Dorado Tower in New York, purchased for $24.5 million. But the real foundation of their wealth is neither property nor luxury. It is control over infrastructure. Liquid Intelligent Technologies manages over 100,000 kilometers of fiber, connecting major cities from Cape Town to Cairo. This network powers digital economies, financial systems, and entire governments, all overseen from the relative quiet of London's legal and financial environment. Yet Tsitsi's influence is not confined to boardrooms or balance sheets. She leads the Higher Life Foundation, a philanthropic organization that has paid school fees for more than 250,000 children across Africa. The foundation's work includes scholarships, disaster relief, and healthcare, reflecting a belief that long-term stability is built through education and opportunity. This approach to philanthropy is not about publicity, it is about creating conditions for generational change, using London's resources as a platform for global impact. Tsitsi sits on international boards alongside figures like Mackenzie Scott, shaping policy at the intersection of wealth, technology, and social progress. What distinguishes Tsitsi Masiyiwa is the durability and scale of her influence. Where others have seen fortunes tested or even dismantled by legal and political storms, her model is anchored in infrastructure, systems that outlast any single crisis. The Masiyiwa family's fortune compounds quietly, protected by English law and global reach, operating at a scale few can match. In the architecture of black wealth in London, Tsitsi Masiyiwa stands as the ultimate builder, not of fleeting empires but of networks and legacies designed to endure. Her story completes the spectrum of power in the city, from digital innovation to global telecoms, from property to philanthropy. She represents a new era where true wealth is measured not by visibility, but by the systems that sustain it. Across all 7 powerhouses, one pattern stands out. True wealth now moves through systems, not ceremony. Each woman leveraged London's legal and financial machinery to build empires that endure court battles, market shocks, and shifting politics. The city isn't just their address, it is their fortress. In today's London, influence is measured not by lineage, but by who controls the infrastructure. Power rewrites its own rules.